In 1998, two graduate students at Stanford offered to sell their search technology for around $1 million. The company they offered it to was the most powerful internet company in the world at the time. That company said no. The students were Larry Page and Sergey Brin. The technology was the search algorithm that would become Google, and the company that turned them down, the front door to the entire internet in 1998, was Yahoo. This is the Yahoo missed Google acquisition story, and it is not one refusal. It is a pattern of them, a company that was offered the future 3 separate times by 3 of the most valuable businesses ever created, and said no each time for reasons that, in the moment, sounded completely sensible. Yahoo was founded in 1994 by 2 Stanford graduate students, Jerry Yang and David Filo. It began as a hand-curated directory, literally a list of websites that Yang and Filo found interesting, organized into categories. In the earliest days of the web, when there were only a few thousand websites and no good way to find anything, a human-organized directory was genuinely the best tool available. Yahoo grew explosively. By the late 1990s, it was the most visited site on the internet and one of the most valuable companies in the world. At the peak of the dot-com boom, Yahoo was worth well over $100 billion. Here is the crucial thing to understand about Yahoo's worldview. Yahoo did not think of itself as a search company. It thought of itself as a media company, a portal. The goal was to keep users on Yahoo's pages for as long as possible, showing them news, email, stock quotes, and advertising. Search was, in this model, almost a problem. A search engine that was too good would send users away from Yahoo to somewhere else as quickly as possible. That was the opposite of what a portal wanted. This is the key to everything that follows. When Google offered Yahoo the best search technology in the world, Yahoo was not looking at a great opportunity. It was looking at a tool that did the one thing its business model did not want done: help people leave. For a few years, Yahoo's strategy worked spectacularly. As the internet exploded in the late 1990s, Yahoo was the default starting point for millions of new users. It expanded into email, into news, into finance, into shopping. It made acquisitions, spending billions on companies like the web hosting service GeoCities and the broadcasting company Broadcast.com, purchases that would later be remembered as enormous overpayments. But in 1998 and 1999, Yahoo could do little wrong in the eyes of the market. It was the face of the internet, and in that moment of dominance, it made a decision that seemed minor at the time. When Page and Brin offered their search technology to Yahoo in 1998, Yahoo declined, and in a sense, that refusal was strategically consistent. Yahoo did not want a search engine that sent users away efficiently, so Google went and built its own company. Then, in a twist that makes the story sharper, Yahoo actually became one of Google's earliest customers. In 2000, Yahoo signed a deal to use Google's search technology to power search on Yahoo's own site, putting the phrase "powered by Google" at the bottom of Yahoo's search results, and introducing hundreds of millions of Yahoo users to the Google brand. Yahoo was, for a period, Google's single most important distribution channel. It had declined to own Google, and then paid to advertise it. By 2002, it was becoming clear that search was not a sideshow. It was where the money was. Google had begun pairing search results with small text advertisements, a business that turned out to be one of the most profitable ever invented. Yahoo's leadership, now under Chief Executive Terry Semel, understood that it had a problem and moved to fix it by buying Google outright. Yahoo entered serious negotiations to acquire Google in 2002. By this point, Google was no longer a $1 million startup. The reported asking price had risen to around $3 billion. Yahoo, according to multiple accounts, was willing to pay roughly that, but haggled, hesitated, and ultimately did not close the deal. Google's founders, in any case, did not want to sell. To understand what that refusal cost, consider the arithmetic. Google went public in 2004 at a valuation of around $23 billion, already many times the price Yahoo had balked at 2 years earlier. Within a decade, Google would be worth hundreds of billions. Today, its parent company is worth well over $1 trillion. The $3 billion price that Yahoo found too expensive in 2002 was one of the great bargains in the history of business. But the pattern was not finished, because in 2006, Yahoo was offered a second future and turned that one down too. In 2006, Yahoo entered negotiations to acquire a 2-year-old social network called Facebook. The reported agreed price was around $1 billion, an enormous sum for a company that was then largely limited to college students. Facebook's young founder, Mark Zuckerberg, was reportedly close to accepting. And then Yahoo blinked. As Yahoo's own stock wobbled that summer, its leadership reportedly tried to reduce the offer from $1 billion to around $850 million. The reduction gave Zuckerberg and his board the confidence to walk away. A discount of $150 million on a company now worth well over $1 trillion ended the deal. The final refusal was the one that sealed Yahoo's decline, and this time, Yahoo was not the buyer, it was the target. In 2008, Microsoft, desperate to compete with Google in search, made a bid to acquire Yahoo for around $44.6 billion, a substantial premium over Yahoo's market price. Yahoo's leadership, including co-founder Jerry Yang, who had returned as chief executive, judged the offer too low and rejected it. Microsoft eventually walked away. Yahoo never again saw a valuation close to what Microsoft had offered. The financial crisis arrived months later. Yahoo's advertising business was squeezed between Google in search and, increasingly, Facebook in display. The company cycled through a series of chief executives, each attempting a different turnaround, none able to reverse the fundamental problem. Yahoo had defined itself as a media portal in an era that had moved decisively to search and social networks, the two categories it had been offered and declined. In 2017, Yahoo's core internet business was sold to Verizon for around $4.8 billion. Put that number in perspective, it was roughly a tenth of what Microsoft had offered 9 years earlier, and a tiny fraction of the combined value of Google and Facebook, the two companies Yahoo had been offered and refused. The sale price was so modest that, by then, the most valuable thing Yahoo owned was not its own business at all. It was a stake it had acquired years earlier in the Chinese company Alibaba, an investment that, by 2017, was worth far more than the entire rest of Yahoo. In a final irony, Yahoo's greatest financial success came not from anything it built or bought in its core market, but from a side investment in someone else's company. The Yahoo brand survives as a property inside a larger media portfolio. It still runs email, news, and finance sites used by millions. But the independent company, the one that was, for a moment, the single most important business on the internet, no longer exists in any meaningful sense. The easy lesson is that Yahoo's leaders were foolish, that anyone could see Google and Facebook were the future. But hindsight is doing enormous work in that judgment. In 1998, a great search engine genuinely was a threat to a portal's business model. In 2006, $1 billion for a college social network genuinely looked expensive. Each refusal was defensible in its own moment. The real lesson is subtler, and it connects Yahoo to a long line of companies. Yahoo's failure was a failure of mental model. It had decided what it was, a media portal, and it evaluated every opportunity against that identity. Search looked like a threat, because portals feared it. Social looked like a distraction because portals did not understand it. The company was not blind to the opportunities. It saw them clearly and measured them against the wrong ruler. So here is the question. When a company defines itself by what it currently is, it gains focus and discipline, the very things that make it successful. But that same definition becomes the lens through which it judges the future, and the lens can be exactly wrong. Yahoo was offered the two defining businesses of the next 20 years and valued them as a portal would. How do you tell the difference, in the moment, between an opportunity that threatens your business and an opportunity that is your business, arriving in a form you do not recognize? The comments are open. The definitive accounts of these negotiations appear in Stephen Levy's In the Plex, David Kirkpatrick's The Facebook Effect, and Nicholas Carlson's History of Yahoo's Decline. All sources are listed in the description below.